You are watching On Demand. Please do not try to vote or enter any competition or other interactivity in this programme, as it may not count and you may still be charged.
Thank you very much. Welcome to your Monday's Loose Women Live. Hope you had a great weekend. It's lovely to have your company today. And kicking off another week of cracking conversation. Today it is Colleen Nolan, Linda Robson, Jane Moore and me, Ruth Langsford. So coming up today, would you read your will to your friends and family before your death? Apparently more people are doing just that. Find out why Linda is too frightened to make a will altogether. And
Charlotte, I think you're 10 out of 10. And just by adding Deborah Mead into your business, it becomes hugely more valuable.
He is the newest dragon in the den and just happens to be worth £300 million at age just 29. But how did he do it? And could he help you do the same? Stephen Bartlett will be telling us his inspirational story at 1 o'clock today. And then at 1:15, our controversial question of the day. After Jamie Redknapp is applauded for his multitasking with new son Raphael, is it time to stop praising hands-on dads? I want to say firstly, nice to see Colleen back, because you weren't here last week. Sadly, your auntie was very ill and sadly she did pass away. So condolences to you and the family.
Thank you.
How are you all? How are you doing?
Do you know what? I think we're at the stage where we're all okay at the moment because when they get to the stage where their time is done, you kind of want them to go to sleep, and that's exactly what she did in the end. And so she was out of pain, and we were all there. And the thing about my Auntie Teresa is she was genuinely like a second mom, taking nothing away from my wonderful mother.
She's your mum's sister.
My mum's sister, and so when my mum passed away, she was the last one of that generation, and she used to call, my brother always calls her the Don of the family. Like, where's the Don? We can't go anywhere without the Don, and she was always there. There she is there. She's just a massive part of our family, so it is a really massive loss, actually. And that moment of, she's the last one of that generation, and now we're that generation to our kids. It's all very, driving home, I thought, God, life is just weird, isn't it? You know, it's just a strange thing that it just has to go on. But yeah, she's going to be very, 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 very sadly missed in our family.
Well, lovely that you could be with her. And, you had all such a close bond.
And we had Christmas with her.
Yeah.
Because she was in hospital at Christmas. This is how strong this woman was. She was in hospital at Christmas, and we told then, that's Christmas Day, her at the front with all of us, because we all made a special thing. She signed herself out of hospital and said, if you don't let me out freely, I'm signing myself out because I am spending this Christmas with my family.
Well, wonderful she had that.
She knew it was her last, I think.
Wonderful she had that. Well, as I say, rest in peace, Auntie Teresa.
Auntie Teresa.
Yes, and condolences to you and the family. OK, well, an historic Platinum Jubilee statement yesterday. The Queen announced that Camilla, Duchess of Cornwall, will be made Queen Consort when Charles is eventually crowned King. Now, Her Majesty declared that it was her sincere wish for her daughter-in-law to be fully acknowledged when Charles succeeds her, saying, I know you will give her and Charles the same support you've given me. Now, 5 years ago, we asked our audience, should Camilla ever become Queen? This is what they said.
During the break there, we did a show of hands, asking who would like to see Camilla be Queen or not be Queen. Who thinks absolutely no, she should not be Queen Camilla? Show of hands there, folks. Oh, interesting. Looks about everybody. There must be someone. Is there anyone thinks Camilla should be? One lady. Two ladies. Is that it? Yes? Oh, well, there you go.
Well, so that was a resounding no from the audience then. That was 5 years ago. Do you think that view might have changed now, Jane? I mean, it's a resounding endorsement from the Queen for Camilla, isn't it?
Yeah,
like a royal seal of approval.
And I think that will play a huge part, because it's sort of like her wish, isn't it? But also, I also think we've got other things to worry about these days. But I think it's a huge mark of Camilla that, back in the day, obviously because of the way that her whole relationship with Charles happened, she was completely vilified. you know, both in the media and on message boards and by the public. There wasn't so much social media in those days, but she has earned people's respect. She's just kept quiet.
Yeah.
And every time you see them together, her and Charles, you can see that they absolutely love each other and they've got a great chemistry. There's a spark there. There's a shared sense of humour, which, having seen Charles and Diana together many, many times, they didn't have that same chemistry. So I'm not saying it was right, but how it happened. But I just think she's just quietly got on with it, really, you know, been dutiful, done all the stuff that the royal family are expected to do. And I think there's a real lesson in that, in a way, for Meghan, because I think Meghan came here and everybody loved her. Do you remember? We were all very excited about the wedding, and then it was like, OK, now you've got to travel the country and go to that sports hall and shake hands with dignitaries. And Meghan didn't she just didn't enjoy it. I mean, obviously, you've got the different scenario that Meghan is American and probably was homesick as well. But I think if she'd done what Camilla has done and just, you know, got on with it, it would have been fine. So it's a shame.
And do you think, I mean, that the fact that the Queen has made this very public now, that she knows that there probably are still people that might not want to accept Camilla as Queen, and that she's making it very clear that that is her wish. She's saying it before she dies, that there's no doubt of how she feels.
Yeah, and actually, you know, she's doing the job, and in a way, it's just a word. She was going to be princess consort, and now she'll be queen consort. But it does mean that she'll probably get that crown that the Queen Mother had made specially for her.
It was funny because obviously when we lost Diana and all that, I was such a Diana fan. I loved Princess Diana, and I was very against Camilla when they first got together, actually. And over time, I think it's what you said, over time, my respect for the woman has grown and grown and grown, because I mean, I've never known anyone get as much hatred about her in every newspaper, in every magazine, in the street. And she just sat back quietly and she just loved him. And then I saw them together and I saw that girl and I thought they should have always been together, actually. You know, that's the tragedy of it.
Yeah, and people do
say... And now I think I'm 100% for her, I think.
Because they were, you know, they were sort of very taken with each other back in the day. And apparently she waited for him to propose. This is long before he met Diana. And he didn't propose because there's that odd thing back then about the future king can't marry a woman with a past. So she gave up waiting for him and married Andrew Parker Bowles instead. And then, of course, Charles married.
Yeah, see, I was a bit like
with
Colleen.
Diana.
You know, I was a big Diana fan and that. But having met Camilla a few times, I think she's absolutely lovely. There was a time when she visited ITV studios and she was asked who she'd like to see. I think she said people from This Morning. She said Birds of a Feather. So me, Pauline and Leslie went along and met her and she was just absolutely delightful. We spent most of the time talking about our grandchildren.
Yeah, she's very down to earth.
And I also went to a tea party at Buckingham Palace, a garden party.
Ooh, like you do.
And me and Leslie were outside on the grounds and that, and Camilla saw us and brought us into the royal enclosure because she remembered meeting us and that. And, and I had no shoes on at the time because I got blisters from the shoes that I was wearing. So I was walking around Buckingham Palace barefoot. Should have bought me slippers, shouldn't I?
Should have.
Well, I was saying, you know, 5 years ago, we asked our studio audience at the time if they would accept Camilla as Queen. As you saw there, it was a resounding no. But we've asked you today the same question. Is it time to accept Camilla as Queen? And this time, 61% of you are saying yes, 39 no. So thank you very much for taking part in that. And we're mentioning the Queen there, expressing her wishes for what happens when she's no longer around. That got us talking this morning about making wills. Have you made a will? And, you know, normally a will is not read until you've passed away. And there's a change now. There's a rise in people reading their wills to their loved ones or making it known, their wishes, before they pass away, so that there can be no arguments. Because we've discussed on here many times, you know, we've seen stories where somebody's, you know, the will is being contested and families fall out.
Oh, so many.
Bernie was very specific, wasn't she?
Bernie,
about what she wanted.
it was the first time I've experienced somebody sorting something out before they actually die. So she sorted her whole funeral out before she died, like a good few months before she
Like
died.
everything.
Wrote it all down, exactly what she wanted, to the point of who was going in what car. Because there can even be arguments there. Well, why am I not in the first car?
Yeah.
You know, why are they in the first car? Because we're a massive family as well, with partners, with kids. And she sorted everything out. So on the day, there could be no arguments. Because even if one person went, well, I don't know if I'm happy with that. Well, there's it. It's there on the list. That's what Bernie wanted. And everyone would go, oh, OK.
And did you
It was
know...
so much easier.
Sorry to interrupt you. Did you know before she'd passed away that she was doing that?
I kind of knew that she was putting things in order of how she wanted it and what she wanted, but I didn't realise for 1 second to what level she went to. And I didn't know about who was going in what cars, but she was right, because there's always, especially in massive families, there's always well, any family.
Yeah.
But there's always some kind of argument.
And it's a horrible time to fall out, Linda, as well, isn't it? When someone dies, the
It
last
is,
thing you want to
yeah.
be doing is falling out, but people often do.
Well, I've sort of put off doing a will because I think if I do a will, I might die. You know, it's like tempting.
no.
It's like tempting fate, isn't it? But no, my mum did a will before she died, and she's Irish, and she told us exactly how she wanted to be buried and everything. She wanted to make sure she had the horse and cart and everything, and she wanted to go to her church where she'd always been as a child and everything. And she just wanted loads of people there. And with the Irish family, my family are all from Dublin. It's all about how many cars you've got,
Isn't it?
So yeah, so the more cars you've got, the more popular you were and everything. But it can cause lots of trouble as well, like wills, if they're not.
Linda, you've got to do a will.
I've got to do a will, I know.
Because
that.
if you know, God forbid, if you do and you die without a will, you leave just a massive headache for your family.
No, I will. I'll go and get one out of WH Smith.
I wish as well that I'd talked to I have talked to my mum because of this, but we didn't talk to my dad about what kind of funeral he wanted. I had no idea. None of us had any idea when he died. Did he want to be buried?
Oh, Bernie did all that as well.
We didn't know, so we kind of guessed.
Tricky,
what we
isn't
thought.
it?
Yeah. And actually, I wished. You know, it's like you said, it's very British. Like, we don't discuss death. It's not a dumb thing. But I wish we had asked him, actually.
I had a great mate called Sue Carroll, who was columnist on the Daily Mirror, and she was very like Janet in her demeanour, like quite sort of scary, but actually a pussycat. Yeah. And all of our friends said to me, "Look, we've got to address the fact she's not done a will, and we don't know what she wants at her funeral. She had terminal cancer." So I was sort of like dispatched to have this conversation. But I spent this afternoon with her, and it was actually both the most upsetting but magical time, because I just sat there with a notebook and she planned her entire funeral, the songs she wanted, you know, the flowers, the this, the that. And then she did a will. And I remember I pushed her around the house in a wheelchair, and she said, oh, you know, if it was you, Ruth has always admired this painting in my living room. I'd like her to have that. So when this will was read out, everybody was so moved. It weren't particularly things of value, but it was just like, oh my God, yeah, I really loved that. And I always used to say that to her. And for me, the funeral was so special because everybody went, oh, she's chosen this song.
Yeah, it does make it better. It's like Bernie's funeral, because you've chosen the whole thing. It was just nice because
and did it make it easier to deal with for you?
So much easier, yeah, because you know that she's got exactly what she wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, down
And
to
as you say, no one
everything,
can
really.
argue with it.
And no one can argue. Whether you agree with it or not, that's what she wanted, so you can't have that argument.
Right, Linda, we've got to pin you down. Sort your will out.
I'll sort me will out, I know, yeah. Next week.
OK, stay with us on Loose Women, because we're going to be talking about men's lingerie. It's a thing, yes. Mengerie, it's called. We're going to be meeting the new dragon, Stephen Bartlett, find out what he thinks about that. And Kirsty Allsop suggested that young people could afford to get onto the property ladder if they gave up takeaways and holidays. Is she out of touch, or does she have a point? Strong views on that one right after this. Hello, welcome back to Loose Women. Now, he once described himself as a dropout, but he went on to become CEO of a £300 million company at just 29 years old. We'll be talking to new Dragon's Den star Stephen Bartlett. There he is, talking to him at 1 o'clock. You probably won't need to enter this competition, Stephen. I hope you don't need to anyway. Yeah, it's the biggest one so far this year. Andy Peters has all the details of how you could be £250,000 richer.
Good morning, Michael. Hey, good morning. I've got a massive treat for you. A huge £250,000 is up for grabs. Oh, I forgot to get him a tip.
We're calling it Royally Rich Cash Prize, and one lucky viewer will win themselves all that money.
What would you do if you won all that cash? And more importantly, how would you react if you got that winning call? Oh, it's me, Mum. Hi, Mum.
I'd be dancing up and down the garden. Oh, I'd be shouting out to the neighbours, I've done it, I've done it, I've done it. Yeah, it would be fabulous.
I'd be so excited if I got that phone call. I do enter these competitions, so at some point, someone's got to win, and why wouldn't it be me?
So the question is, how would you react to that winning call? Well, there's only one way to find out. You've got to be in it to win it. Good luck.
For another chance to win £250,000, text cash to 82248. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message, or go to the website. Entries cost £2. You can call 09068 782248. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and phone number to CD05 PO Box 7558 Derby DE1 0NQ. Entrance must be 8 and over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on Friday the 4th of March. You've got to be in it to win it. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Andy. Now, do you remember buying your very first home? It's no news that it is harder than ever for young people to get on the property ladder these days. But Kirsty Allsop, who's the daughter of a baronet, is facing a backlash today after suggesting that the younger generation should give up their luxuries like takeaway coffees, Netflix, gym memberships, or even suggesting they move in with their parents to save cash if they want to buy a property. So does she have a point? You can't have it all. If you want to have something, you might have to give something else up.
Oh, no, I don't think she does have a point, really. I think it's a stupid point to make, in a way, because it doesn't matter how many coffees they have or gym memberships. They're not going to save up nowadays for a deposit on a house. It's bordering on impossible for them. And I know, because I've got all my adult children at home. In fact, Shane only moved out on Friday. Shane
Really? They've gone?
Finally.
Did you cry?
I cried when they said they might not be able to move out till the weekend. I was like, no, I've got plans. No, I didn't. I'm only joking. No, but they've rented because they just haven't got the deposit for a house, and I didn't.
But were
cry.
they staying with you to try and save up for a deposit on a house? Was that the point?
No, because they both work. You know, Shane's always away touring and working. Maddie's got 2 jobs. You know, she's got her during the week job, and now she's taken weekend.
And you need a deposit to rent as well.
And you need a deposit to rent as well, yeah. So, yeah, and they've rented this lovely house, but it is. But also, I felt bad because Shane was getting to a point, like when he got into his late 20s, where he's going, it's getting embarrassing now, Mum, that I'm, you know, nearly 30, and I mean, he's 33 now. I'm nearly 30, and I'm still living with my mum. And I was like, but if we were in Europe, we'd probably live together forever. I would just get moved up to the attic as the grandkids came along. It's time. Mother's in the attic. But it's a real thing over here, real pressure, I think, that kids feel that they have to. Almost they get to 18 and you need to go now. Yeah. You need to get out. And
well, I think it's
really
the natural.
hard.
I think it's the natural thing to get out and want to get out. I wanted to get out. Love my parents dearly, but couldn't wait to get out. I think she does have a point. I think in certain areas and cities it's very, very difficult. Like you said, almost impossible. Particularly in London, the southeast, property prices are horrendously high. But that aside, I think generally, if you want something, you can't have everything. So if you want something badly enough, you might have to sacrifice other things. You know, when I bought my first flat, I was 21. I shared a house. I had a bedsit first, not a very nice bedsit either. Then I shared a house with a friend because she'd bought the house, was struggling with a mortgage. I needed to save, so she charged me a cheaper rent than I was paying, and it helped her with her mortgage. And I eventually bought my first flat. But I struggled, and I didn't go out as much. I'm not saying I never. 21. I'm not saying I never went out.
Yeah, but they're only about £20 then.
No, but it was all relative. No, but it's all relative.
Your day, it was only 20 quid for a house.
It was all relative. I do think there is an element.
No, it is, of course.
You know, sometimes you have to make a sacrifice for something that if you want it that badly.
I sort of feel that the sentiment of what she's saying makes sense, but it kind of makes sense on the level of if you're saving for a car.
Yeah,
that kind of smaller. Yeah. But I think that the housing market now in this country, and of course we've got a cost of living crisis coming around the corner, mortgage rates are going to go up. I think when you're talking about a house now, it's so off the scale compared to when we were young.
Well, we need
I mean, it was
affordable
expensive
housing,
relatively when we were young, but now It is, you know, because so many cities have gentrified, as they call it. So, like, the smallest house can cost you nearly £1 million in some areas. And, I mean, how are you ever going to afford that? You know, salaries have not gone up in relation to...
But she's also from a very privileged background, isn't she? I've got 3 kids, and the 3 of them are finding it really difficult to get on the property ladder. Lauren lives on the 3rd floor of a lovely house, and she's got 2 bedrooms up there. She can't leave the bikes or the kids' prams or anything under the stairs, because if you do, they throw them away, so she has to take the 2 kids up, the shopping up, the bike, the scooter, the pram, whatever up there. But for the 3 of them, it's proving really, really difficult. So the only way they're ever going to get on the property ladder is when I pop my clogs.
You better get that in your will, then.
Yeah. But it is, it's so hard, it really, really is, because they've all got jobs, they're all working, and they've all just moved out. I'm devastated that I've got none of my kids at home.
Yeah, I know it is.
Because I had their partners there as well, you know, like, I'm finding it really, really lonely. So one of you lot are going to have to move in with me.
All right, I will.
But also, it was, you know, I sometimes look back on that and think, did I get into, you know, onto the property ladder maybe too early? I had that responsibility of a mortgage quite early on.
It's so funny you should say that, because I said to Kira only yesterday, she was talking about when she'll move out and, you know, she can't afford rent even at the moment, blah, blah, blah. And I said, you know what, Kira, don't be too quick to get a mortgage.
No.
You're coming up to 21.
Yeah,
it's
a
save up
responsibility.
and travel and see the world before you tie yourself down to bills and mortgages and...
No,
you know,
I never ever
so
wanted a mortgage. It was only like when I did Birds and earned quite a lot of money that my accountant said to me, you've got to buy a house. I went, I don't want an house. I'm happy in a council place. That's where I grew up.
I think mine was
I just
as well,
want to go on holiday.
from being, you know, moving around so much with an army family boarding school. I really wanted my own place. Yeah, I loved having my own place. So it's a personal thing, isn't it? Let us know what you think about that. We love to hear from you. No, don't go anywhere. Coming up next, he's crushing dreams sometimes, changing lives of others. The Dragon's Den, Stephen Bartlett, will be revealing how selling tickets to his own birthday party led him to becoming the CEO of a £300 million empire. Now, I wonder if he'd invest in this, men's lingerie. What do you think, Stephen? Yeah, look at that, yeah.
No comment.
He's interested, the eyebrow went up. It is the hottest new trend ahead of Valentine's Day, apparently. Find out what we think of mengerie after this.
I believe in miracles. Since you came along.
Hello, welcome back to your first Loose Women of the Week. You are very welcome, and you're in fine company this lunchtime because alongside me, Ruth Langsford, it is Colleen Nolan, Linda Robson and Jane Moore. And still to come today, Jamie Redknapp has been multitasking, feeding his son and drinking a cocktail at the same time. What a man, eh? We're wondering, is it time, though, we stopped praising hands-on dads and found out why a cliffhanger on last night's ITV drama Trigger Point happened to Colleen too. Now then, back in the day, it was the woman who was expected to dress up for their man when it came to lingerie. Not so much these days, because it seems now it's the fellas who are dressing to impress in the bedroom. Yes, it's the thing. Ahead of Valentine's Day, searches for men's lingerie or mengerie, as it's called, have increased by 60% over the last week. Sorry, my eyes were just a bit like...
Yes, but they were.
It's a bit distracted there. So, will you be shopping for Gary, Jane? Anything there catch your eye?
No. That was a very short conversation, wasn't it?
Oh, no.
That's not my cup of tea at all. And if Gary ever appeared in that...
Oh, goodness me.
It would be for comedy purposes only, I think. Like, it's a bit Borat for me.
I could see Eamon.
Could you?
I could see
Could you? Well, you see it on my behalf, then. I'll send him over.
No, please. I can't
I'll go,
bear
Colin would like to see that.
Oh, no, I'd like to see a man with a little bit of a beer belly and some hairs on his chest. I don't like all that where they're shaving everything.
No.
And I know. Yeah.
No, but the dressing up thing, I mean, you know, have you dressed up in your time? I have a bit.
Have
in
you?
my time, in my
Yeah.
younger days, when I
Yes.
had the body to do it.
As what?
Oh, whatever.
A nurse?
Whatever.
Whatever
Yeah,
took her
I've done all
fancy.
of that. Yeah, I think I've talked about this on Loose Women before. I'm getting hot as we speak. I don't know if that's menopause or I'm embarrassing myself. But not for me, the dressing up for the man. And actually, after we talked about it on Loose Women years ago, somebody then sent Ray loads of, like they sent him Officer in a Gentleman costume and the Zorro. Yeah. Well, he put this Zorro costume on and walked in our bedroom. And I laughed for about an hour and a half. Came in like that. And I went,
Was it
unless
that?
you're Antonio
Is this-
Banderas under there.
Is that
do not
taking
come-
you back?
Oh, my God, honestly.
Hello.
I just couldn't. I just can't. I just, no, don't ever.
But you know what? I say each their own.
Each to their
You know,
own,
because
but not
women
for
always
me.
complain, like, oh, it's always us that has to make the effort, and now men are making a bit of an effort. They
No.
lace G-strings,
Oh, don't bother.
see-through thongs, yes,
No.
satin boxer shorts. Yeah, well, listen, if they try, they're trying, Colleen.
Very trying.
Each to their own. Whatever you're dressing up in or not dressing up in.
Yeah,
have a
each to
very
their own, yeah.
Happy Valentine's Day. I wonder what our guest would make of that. I wonder if he'd invest. Because as a child, he used to study Dragon's Den. He used to pause the TV and then decide whether or not he was going to invest his imaginary money. And then being after kicked out of school, seemingly far from the road to success, Stephen Bartlett pursued his dreams, not only building a company worth £300 million, but also becoming the youngest dragon in the history of the show.
How many times could my little Pablo do a wee-wee on the pad versus the grass? This business seems to have it all. I completely get it, and I need one. I've just sold myself completely like a peacock. I've managed to influence all the other dragons to follow me. This is exactly what I've always needed. I get it. My real expertise is understanding how to build a real cult following behind a brand and turn that into sales. And hopefully build tens of millions of followers. So I am going to make you an offer. I'm willing to reduce my equity after 12.5% for sure.
Oh, thank you. I'd like to accept your offer, Stephen.
Yeah! Well, he was happy then. Please welcome Stephen Bartlett. Welcome. Lovely to see you. Before we talk about Dragon's Den, did you hear us talking about men's lingerie?
I knew you were going to ask me. I've actually got some on if you... Interesting. I'm all for, you know, expression and what people want to do in the bedroom. I think it just depends on what you're into. If it's your cup of tea, then I'm open to it. But it's probably not my cup of tea.
Well, it says, you know, 60% rise in searches for men's lingerie, so, you know, it might be a good business
That kind
deal.
of lingerie.
Someone
Would you
came into Dragon's Den.
I don't know. I need to see the numbers, but probably not. Probably.
You do a lot of number crunching. You've been doing a lot of number crunching from a very young age. I mentioned there that you used to watch Dragon's Den and imagine that you had a pot of money and then pause the television to the side.
I watched it from 12 years old in Plymouth, and I used to pause the TV and pretend I was the sixth dragon. And I actually applied to pitch on Dragon's Den when I was 18. I never heard back, but someone found it in my diary, which was uploaded online from when I was 18 years old. And I was announced as a dragon 10 years to the week after I'd applied. Oh. So it feels it's a really, really crazy experience. And I don't know if you believe in manifestation at all, but I'd actually sent a message to all of my team and said, you know what, I think I want to do Dragon's Den. And then 60 days after, I got the email from the BBC inviting me to have the meeting.
So do you believe in that kind of positive, if you think it enough and believe it enough, it could happen?
Yeah, well, so here's a kind of controversial take. I've never really gone... There's a book called The Secret, which kind of has taught us a culture of this manifestation and things will appear in your life. But the way that I kind of rationalise it is, think of it like a car, right? Of course, it's important to wake up in the morning and set the sat-nav when you're in your garage, but you also have to drive. And setting the... Oh, you go nowhere. If you just set the sat-nav, you will sit in the garage, right? So for me, I'm very clear and intentional about the direction I want to go in, but then the more important part, or equally important part, to knowing your direction is having the drive to turn the key and put your foot down. So I believe in the balance of both, and I think I've kind of lived my life by that principle.
And how is the... I'm quite intrigued by your childhood, because you talk about your parents weren't around that much because they were working, because money was very tight. So, you know, like a lot of people, they got up very early and you had to get yourself to school and back again and whatever.
Yeah.
But you said it created a gulf of independence.
Yeah.
And I'm intrigued by that, because I do think a modern scourge sometimes is that parents tend to do too much for their children and they take away that learning ability of how to do things for themselves. Would you agree with that?
Totally. And quite honestly, you know, I was talking to my hairdresser this morning about parenting, and we often think that the way to raise a really sort of impressive or successful child is, you know, there's this handbook of perfection that you just have to follow, this instruction manual. But actually, the reason why I'm sat here today, I am 100% sure is because of things that you would consider parental failures.
Yeah.
It's because my parents weren't around. It's because I didn't have all the nice gifts and presents. There wasn't Christmas presents, you know, as I got older, there wasn't birthday presents. So what that meant was, on one hand, because my parents were so busy working, and my mum is the hardest working person I've ever met, she would sleep in her office on the floor, in her shop on the floor, wake up, run the shop, then go back to sleep on the floor in the back room on a bag of rice in Plymouth. Because they weren't around, I learned this very important lesson that if I am to have anything, it doesn't appear on the kitchen counter or under a tree, it's of my own doing. And then the other part of that is when you're the only black kid in a pretty much all-white school in Plymouth and you don't have the nice things, you get a little bit insecure. I'm already trying to fit in. I'm already trying to figure out why my hair is different from everyone else's and my skin is different. I'm desperate to fit in, which makes me insecure, and I have this gulf of independence. So I went off after it on my own. And I was an incredibly independent kid from 14, 15, starting companies. 18, I start another one. And yeah.
So because of that background, do you think you're kind of born with an entrepreneurial skill, or did you acquire it because of your upbringing?
I think it's most, I mean, you can be predisposed to certain characteristics in your personality, but if you just look at, I'm the youngest of 4 kids. The other 3 went to university and did very, very well in academia. I always failed. I was kicked out of school eventually, dropped out of university after 1 lecture. And the only thing that I can point at and say was slightly different from my upbringing, we have fundamentally really the same genetics, is my parents got really broke and things got really, really hard around the time when I was about 10.
Right.
So I really felt it, and I really felt that independence, and I think I was way more insecure than my brothers and sisters, and I had way more independence. I mean, I could leave the house for days, and I don't think anyone would really notice at about 10 or 12 years old. And that was the defining thing. So they talk about nature and nurture. I think the nurture part for me was what ultimately made me how I am. And I see it in my podcast guests. I sit there with the most talented people in the world, athletes, Olympians, Eddie Hearn, you name it. And in fact, the thing that tends to be the root cause of their success is insecurity. It's their parents making a mistake or not being there or putting too much pressure on them, which makes them an anomaly. An anomalous childhood.
As a parent, that can then make you feel guilty.
Honestly, if I was a parent, just like relax. Do your best and be at peace with that. Because, I mean, you guys know, it's a rolling the dice. You don't know what you're going to get. And if...
As you say, there's no such thing as perfection anyway.
Yeah.
And I follow you on TikTok, and one of the things I remember you saying about, which really struck me, was about, you know, a kid in Africa being ecstatic because they get rice. And you've met billionaires who are, you know, never happy because they've never got enough. And it is that kind of balance, isn't it?
That's what I've come to learn that happiness is. Unhappiness is when your expectations of how life is supposed to be going go unmet. So if your expectations are low... I was born in Africa, like the people in the village that I was born in Africa. If your expectation is rice, you know, you'll be euphoric when that expectation is met. If you become a billionaire and you're travelling first class in private jets and you go to a 7 Michelin star restaurant and one thing is wrong, because of your expectation, you will be unhappy. And it's quite so that tells you a cure and a symptom and a formula for how to live a happier life, which is to have more realistic expectations for your life, for your relationships, and for everything in between.
You mentioned your podcast there, the Diary of a CEO podcast. It's going on tour now.
Yes.
So February the 21st to the 28th of March.
Yeah.
Travelling around the country. What are you hoping people will take home from that?
Yeah, so it's a musical, motivational, spoken word. There's violence.
Musical? Are you singing?
I'm not. Maybe I'll join in a little bit. But you know, when people talk about live podcasts, it's typically someone sat on a stage talking. And for me, and this kind of is a thesis for my entire life, I just wanted to incorporate everything that I am. And I'm not a label. I'm not a podcast host, a CEO. I love music. I love theatre. So it's all of that wrapped into one. There's a big house gospel choir with me. And it's all of those sort of passions woven into this show, which will hopefully liberate you from a lot of the toxic nonsense that we live sort of imprisoned by. So, yeah.
Great. Yeah, I think... Sadly, I think it might be sold out. So everyone's listening thinking I'll go and see that. But check. I'm sure they'll be adding more dates if it's so successful. But it's absolutely fascinating listening to you. We wish we had more time, Stephen, but sadly we don't. Thank you very much, Stephen Bartlett, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Now, still to come on Loose Women, is it time to stop praising fathers like Jamie Redknapp for just feeding their babies? And another question for you. According to new research, who is more likely to say I love you first in a relationship? Is it men or women? We'll be revealing the answer right after this.
Shout it when you walk into the room. I think I love you. I think I love you.
Hello again. Yes, before the break, we asked you who is more likely to say I love you first in a relationship, men or women? And the answer is men. Yeah, find out what we think about that in just a moment. Before we do that, Andy Peters is back with a competition.
Good morning. ITV is giving you another chance to win a prize that will definitely get your seal of approval. In fact, it will make you royally rich.
£250,000 could be coming your way. You could check into a 5-star hotel, just like me. Live like an A-lister, just like me. And have a good think about what your next move will be. What would I do?
Here's financial expert Emmanuel Asuka with some tips.
For me, having a plan is key. You should have a plan for the short-term goals, do something with the friends and family or with your kids, something medium-term, maybe put money away for your kids' tuition in the future, and then long-term, maybe thinking about your retirement or so forth. Split the money into different places and make it work for you.
So the decision will be yours. £250,000 is a life-changing amount of money, and someone's guaranteed to win it. Go on then, Michael.
For another chance to win £250,000. Text cash to 82248. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message, or go to the website. Entries cost £2. You can call 09068 782248. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and phone number to CD05 PO Box 7558 Derby DE1 0NQ. Entrance must be 8 and over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on Friday the 4th of March. You've got to be in it to win it. Good luck.
Thank you, Andy. Yes, good luck with that. Now, Jamie Redknapp has posted this picture from his holiday of him sipping a cocktail and bottle-feeding his baby son, Raphael, at the same time. He's used the caption, "Who said men can't multitask?" I mean, what a man, eh? I'm sure that was quite tongue-in-cheek from Jamie, but it did make me think this morning, every time, whether it's a celebrity or not, if there's any kind of photograph or a man doing anything with a baby, everyone's like, oh, isn't he amazing? Look, he's taking his baby to the party. Isn't he amazing? He's taking the babies to soft play. Isn't he amazing? He's changed nappy. And I'm just like, why do we have to praise? Women do this all the time. My dad was a new man before anybody had invented the expression new man. My dad did all of that stuff. Nobody really talked about it. I think some men are just men who do that, and some aren't. And I'm just a bit fed up with... Sorry, Jamie, that's not for you personally.
Yeah,
I'm sure
his was definitely he was just having a laugh.
Tongue-in-cheek, and I get that, okay, I do have a sense of humour. But generally, why do we feel that men have to be praised for doing daddy things?
Well, I don't agree with you, Ruth Langsford, there.
Get out.
But I tell you why, and I think that's why they do put things on social media like, look at me, I'm multitasking, is because women are constantly having a go at the fact, oh, he can't multitask, or he can't look after the baby because he's doing this or that. And I think they're just a bit sick of it, and I think that was tongue-in-cheek. But I think that's why men do put it out there, and when we see them, we go, God, he is doing really well, because they get a really bad time about it.
But don't you think just generally, I'm not talking just about childcare, but anything they do, it's like, you know, need a pat on the head.
Well,
like,
sometimes from us women, they do.
I'll go,
yes.
Yes, and?
Yes. That's a perfect example, because we sit here and go, you know what annoys me? When they don't empty the dishwasher. And then when they do empty the dishwasher, you don't go, well done, you've emptied the dishwasher. You go, well, why wouldn't you empty it?
But I don't get a well done for everything. I mean, I do 20 things when I'm waiting for the kettle to boil in the morning.
Because we're women, we just do it. We don't need a well done.
I do think there's a thing of because Gary in the house does as much as I do, effort-wise. But I would say the difference between us is that he has to do one thing at a time.
Yeah,
he can't multi.
No, they
so he'll be like, right, I'm doing that, and then he'll have to do that, and then he'll do... Whereas women, I think, generally, our brains work that we are doing about 4 or 5 different things at once.
Well, Mark, if he did anything, he'd go, I've emptied the dishwasher for you. I've hoovered for you. I go, well, I don't say I've done it for you every time I do something.
Surprised he got a look in with you, with the hoover.
I know, but my dad was not hands-on at all. I mean, you know, he'd go to work, come home. He never changed a nappy. He never came to any of our school plays, but they didn't in those days,
No,
really.
they
It was
didn't.
always left down to the woman. My mum was always at school plays. If I did anything at Anna Scher's, she'd be there or whatever. Whereas Mark was completely different because he was very hands-on with the kids because I was always working and whatever. So he'd take them on park crawls and do loads of things.
Yeah, so I think that's my point. Some men are just like that. They'll just do it and they don't always expect praise. Just one last quick one for you. We mentioned earlier, did you watch ITV's drama Trigger Point last night? Now, all the explosions, all the tense moments, but the real tension, it seemed, came when one character was left with quite a cliffhanger of his own.
If you weren't in the right place or you weren't feeling okay, you could feel like you could talk to me.
Of course I would.
Because I love you. I just want to protect you.
Oh, awkward.
I'm cringing.
The silence speaks volumes, doesn't it? I love you, silence.
But if someone said that to me, I'd have to say love you back because I would just be devastated for them.
Well, even if you didn't mean it?
Yeah.
No.
Because I would. But I say love you to everyone anyway, even to the car driver this morning. Bye, love you. It just comes out naturally. But I would just be so embarrassed for the person that said to me, I love you, and I didn't say anything. So I'd just go, yeah, love you too. You know, like sort of throw it away.
Would you?
Yeah, I
Not
would.
leave him hanging.
No,
Would
I
you leave
couldn't
them
do
hanging?
that. I couldn't do
Colin,
that.
you're most recently in this situation.
I was, and I have to say that Michael did say it first, and I wasn't ready to say it. So I did have to do that thing of...
Did you pull that face that was just at that?
No, but in my head I did, because I thought, I felt like you. I thought, I feel so bad, because it's such a massive statement to make. But he was great because he said, and you don't have to say anything back. You don't have to say it back just because I've said it, and blah, blah, blah. And I said to him, I will get there. I just don't think I'm there yet, but I'm really flattered that you feel that. And it was actually a lovely moment. But it is that awful moment of, do I say it back, do I not? But I think it's unfair to say I love you if inside
I think there's
you
a
think
pressure
I
to
don't.
say it back.
Eamon said it first to you.
Yeah, Eamon did say it
Yeah.
first, love him, because he's very romantic and he's very open with his feelings.
Oh, he
and
is.
He said it quite quickly.
He
and the
is.
Zorro, and the Zorro mask.
He loves the Zorro cup.
I didn't say it straight back. I was feeling it, but I always have that thing of, it was almost like an expectation to say it back, and then I think, well, they know I mean it if I say
Yeah.
it straight back, because they might think I'm just doing what you did.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
like, oh, yeah, I love you too.
Have
So
you
I said it
back
quite
to him yet?
quickly.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you have said it back
I said
now?
it back
Oh,
like, within
okay.
another week or
Oh,
two.
okay.
But it was just that
You just
I
left him
couldn't
hanging
at
for a
that
week.
moment. It was just not the right moment for me. and I
Jane,
wasn't
15
sure.
seconds.
Oh, 15 seconds. I think it's quite strange that, because we're all feminists, but women still wait for men to say it first, largely, I think. Don't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
I think there's always that fear of rejection, isn't it? If you say it first and he doesn't, you have a moment like that. Anyway, we love all of you for watching today. Thank you very much. And we'll love you even more if you join us tomorrow. Colleen's full Monty pal.
Oh, I love
Ashley
him.
Andre will be here. So have a great afternoon and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Love it.